should be done for mental well-being or mental wellness?
Stop consuming too much of alcohol and substances. Have a diet which is good for you and your body. Have friends, have hobbies, be passionate about something, stay connected.
Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing well. Thank you for the overwhelming response that we received for our previous podcast, which was there on Alzheimer's and dementia. Today, we are here yet again with another podcast which talks about mental health and well-being. 10th of October is celebrated as World Mental Health Day. When it comes to health and well-being, we always talk about diet and exercise. Nobody really talks about mental health or wellness, which is equally important. In India, surprisingly, yet people are reluctant to talk about mental health and wellness. Even when it comes to taking some help or assistance, people don't want to come forward. Today, we have an expert with us who has 30 years of experience. She is a psychiatrist, Dr. Henal Shah. With her immense experience and expertise, she will be the best person to give us a deep insight on mental health and wellness. Welcome, Dr. Henal Shah, to podcast of NehaNutrifit.
Thank you, and it's wonderful to be here. And it's indeed a proud privilege to think that it is not only mental health professionals who are talking about mental health, but we've got people who are working in the field of physical health who are really thinking holistically and talking about mental health. So congratulations for that.
Thank you. So doctor, I would like to start with the first question. It is a most hot topic and the ongoing topic which is going on right now. That post-pandemic, there have been so many lives and people who have been affected. There have been so many families who have lost their loved ones. There have been so many people who have lost their jobs. Businesses have shut down. Children have been at home and studying and a lot of screen time. There's new normal of work from home, less space. People were really wondering what to do. So what has happened is down over these years, it's been now more than 2 years, and we have seen that there is somewhere a lot of impact in terms of social as well as mental, where people have somewhere gone into depression or they have not been able to come out of the trauma. In fact, I've read an article which was published last year. So United Nations Secretary General had mentioned that without any proper action, the impact of COVID-19 on mental health is probably going to last longer than the pandemic itself. Ma'am, what is your take on this?
Unfortunately, it is true. COVID-19 has not yet ended technically, but we're really seeing hopefully the tail of it. But the silent killer has always been mental health. And what it has done is that already there was a lot of mental health problems in India which was not addressed.
Right.
Worldwide, there are 1 in 8 who have mental health issues. A national health survey done by the government of India, published a couple of years ago, talks of at least minimum 10% of people having mental health. With all those things that have already happened in these last 2 years, which you have enumerated, from loss of learning to loss of finance to loss of lives and changing lifestyles, the mental health has increased. But neither is its acceptance, neither is the help increased, nor is the resources increased, whether in terms of people or money or availability. And therefore, I worry that it is a pandemic. I mean, human beings are resilient, but even then, it will also uncover many things which were there in the beginning and foster new diseases. So we are looking at mental health becoming a bigger problem, and in all age groups, and especially in vulnerable populations, the poorer, the marginalized, the children, the geriatric, where we know that things can get worse. So that is something we need to think about and work on it very proactively.
So as rightly said by doctor, that 1 in 8 worldwide people are affected somewhere in terms of mental well-being. That is an alarming number. And I think even India having such a huge population and the kind of awareness which is there in India, as you said that people are a little reluctant. I think mental well-being and health is very important. It has to be addressed.
I think There are two ways of looking at it. I like the idea of mental wellness. I mean, everybody goes for a yearly executive checkup. They go to their doctor for the yearly checkup to check lipids, but कम नहीं हो, ज़्यादा नहीं हो गया, sugar बढ़ नहीं गया, blood pressure is okay. When did anybody think of checking, hey, is my mental health good? So one day we are looking for people to think of whether their mental health and whether they're as well and as resilient as they should be.
Yes.
So one is this aspect of model, that not only do you don't have a disease, but you're well, you're blooming, you're resilient. And as far as mental illness is concerned, of course, early prevention, early intervention and treatment, the three mottos that we are all hoping for, that it is mental facilities, health facilities are available, accessible, affordable and approachable for everybody. So those are the things
in fact, the theme for year 2022 by the Mental Wealth Organization worldwide this year is that mental wellness should be globally available for all.
Exactly.
This is actually the theme for year 2022.
Inclusive,
yes. So, as physical exercise is important for, well-being, to be fit, according to you, what should be done for mental well-being or mental wellness?
So I'm talking from a perspective when we're not talking about disorders, but being happy and healthy.
Yes.
So I think first of all is having a lifestyle which is conducive for mental wellness. Have adequate sleep, have good diet, and I'm sure there are enough people who write about diet, but especially stop consuming too much of alcohol and substances. Have a more rich diet which is good for you and your body. Have friends, have hobbies, be passionate about something, stay connected. Nowadays with COVID, we all got used to staying alone and only being connected through the net, which is fine, connected digitally, but even getting connected personally, a hug releases so much oxytocin and causes happiness that we shouldn't forget about it. And just like we say that there is physical exercises helps in physical fitness, physical exercise has a big role even in mental illness. I mean, we tell all our patients to do some kind of routine, whether it is yoga, whether it is a walk, whether it is, exercises, Zumba, whatever you want. But exercise is an equal part because it releases endogenous opioids, which makes you feel happy. So this is something that is good. So there are a few simple tips, like the stay connected, stay happy, do things that you enjoy, keep a work-life balance, have good friends, good diet, things that can help everybody and are easily implementable.
And I think all this things are very easily available. It's already there, and just that we should include that in our lifestyle. And as said that a happy mind is where your happy body is going to be. So coming to say when we figure out, okay, there's a little bit problem, or I need some assistance, I need some help. In India yet people are a bit reluctant. Okay, should I visit someone? Again, when it comes as a counselor or a psychiatrist, people are a little apprehensive. They take a step back. As a doctor, I want you to share that when someone approaches you with a certain problem or for help, what kind of therapies are involved, or what kind of suggestions you all give to them?
But before I just answer that, can I go a step backwards? Because
Sure.
You talked about how people are worried about coming to a psychiatrist. And let me just tell you, just when you had fever and you were worried, should I get tested COVID, what would happen? Similarly, if you don't take the right help at the right time, COVID can worsen and has had disastrous consequences. Similarly, if mental health is not treated in its early phases, it can lead to longer, poorer quality of life, and then in some cases, suicide and things like that can also happen. So what can be prevented should be prevented. I think it begins with acceptance. Most people don't want to talk about it. I mean, it takes a lot of courage to say that I'm not feeling mentally well, because it is considered a weakness, it's considered low morality. it's not looked in the same way as having diabetes. People will show their lipid reports to all their friends and discuss it, but nobody will talk about their mental health with their friends. So first comes acceptance, and therefore I think people like Deepika or anybody who's in the celebrity, or even you, who are talking about mental health and giving it the limelight that it deserves, I think leads to people normalizing and accepting it. Because what is the biggest problem? सबसे बड़ा रोग क्या कहेंगे लोग? People are
Very
worried,
well
you
said.
know.
Very well said.
They don't want to tell it. So I think first is acceptance. Even if, and let me tell you that even in doctors it is. People don't want to, I never greet anybody at a party because, you know, they don't want to be greeted by a psychiatrist. Unless they say hi, I would never say hi. So it carries even everywhere across all ages, across all societies, across all genders. So one is acceptance. And then with acceptance coming is taking the right step. And I know that people from across my OPD, doctors would not come to ask about their mental health. So we as mental health professionals and all of us who are working together for health should try and go to the community and raise awareness. And I think this podcast is one very important source of doing that.
Yes.
You know, giving information out saying that, hey, if you're ill, nothing's going to happen. The psychiatrist doesn't bite. All right? I don't do anything that's terrible. I probably will talk to you. I may give some medication if I so think it is important. And that stems from the fact that when you have a mental illness, there are changes in the brain and the chemicals, and which responds to medication. They're not addicting medications. They're not medications to cause sleep. They work specifically on certain neurochemicals, neurotransmitters, and pathways of your brain to make you feel better again or change some of your thoughts. While that is one part of it, the other kind of therapies that we do offer are psychotherapies, which in layman's talk is, you know, talk therapy. But remember, talk therapy is not just like talking to your friend. This is a professional who has trained, and he or she knows what to say, how to say. There is a goal, there is a pattern, there are certain things that are done which changes the way you think and you look at things. You know, they change your lens. They change your perspective, and that changes your behavior and emotions. So that's another kind of therapy we do. We also ask for, you know, we may ask you to journal your thoughts. We may ask you to improve your lifestyle, improve your sleep, maybe decrease alcohol. We may ask you to go into physical fitness, because all these are ancillary things which help. And of course, we want your family to support you, and we want your friends there to rally you around. But remember, just telling your friend who's depressed, "Arey, अच्छा हो जाएगा, चल एक drink के लिए जाते." Sorry, bad choice. "Arey, let's go to Lonavala, it's raining, you'll feel better." Yeah, temporarily maybe, but that doesn't help anything, because the disease is within. It's not outside. So we have to attack what causes the disorder and treat it. So we have to look at that also.
So as rightly said that, you know, we need to change the lens. You know, we need to have that right perspective. It's very important that, you know, a lot of time, you know, maybe I have back pain, I just apply Move or Iodex. It's just basically subsiding my pain. It is not helping me to solve the problem. Maybe it can be spondylitis. Now for that, I go to a orthopedic or a physiotherapist. So similarly, you know, we have seen a lot of time there is a problem. You know, maybe I'm in depression, or, you know, there is anxiety issue. But just going for a break, you know, or just doing something, you know, just going for a drink, we are just basically temporarily, you know, we are subsiding the, you know, symptoms what we are getting, but we are not really targeting or...
if I could just add a little bit,
yeah.
Bhavesh, before you continue with it. See, when you have a sprain, you can put that dukta lip, or you can put an elastocrape and things like that. But if you have a fracture, you would go to a doctor or an orthopedic. Very often in our daily lives, there are times when we are sad, happy, anxious, worried. It may not amount to a disorder. You may not go anywhere. In those cases, maybe your friends and other things help. But when it is a disorder, when it is so severe, when it has lasted so long, when it has impacted your life and you can't do anything, where you're thinking, you know, all your normal functioning has come to, you know, going lower or come to a standstill, then you know it's a disorder. So being able to first of all separate that this is just, I had a bad day and I've got my boss shouted I'm sad, or my girlfriend and I had a spat and I'm sad, fine. But if this continues and you are but continuously sad or continuously worried, and you can't eat, can't sleep, you're getting palpitations, and you're just feeling life is worthless, or you're not doing your work, you can't concentrate, then it's time to think that this is not just a normal feeling sad, this is a depressive disorder. So whenever it crosses in terms of intensity, frequency and impact on your life, it's time to think. It's like, you get a cold. You get a cold because they say that it's allergic and that go away in the morning. But if that cold lasted whole day and the second day and then your throat started paining and you find it difficult to speak, you would do something about it. Same way when your emotions or your thoughts or your behavior are going beyond what is really expected, then it is time to think about what to do next and where to get help.
So it's important to identify that, this is happening repeatedly, this is happening over and over, and I think it's getting into a chronic stage, then you need help. So coming to this point that, a lot of time people would visit a psychiatrist when, in cases that, they have depression, anxiety, or Alzheimer's, dementia. These are some, common things where, people would think, oh, I need to see a psychiatrist. But can you elaborate on few, such other things where you think that, where people come to you or, they need to visit a psychiatrist? Because, in India, yet, those are the common things where people would think about going to a psychiatrist.
So let's go across the lifespan. I think in children, also there are a lot of disorders, and if not treated in childhood, it can lead to disastrous consequences.
So those are basically the behavioral...
Not only the behavioral disorders, so a child who is having academic difficulties, because it could be learning disability, it could be attention deficit, but if he cannot cope, he forms a self-image of himself that's negative, he gets picked by the teachers, people bully him, he becomes rebellious, and my parents are angry, so it just creates chaos in the house, and his whole self-concept and his personality that evolves is going to be very, very sad. So in that sense, picking up early problems also in school, separation anxiety, substance abuse nowadays is becoming even more mobile, and its use and its impact now, especially with the pandemic. So all these things happen in children very often and picking up. As they become adolescents, then of course academics and its pressures, and we all know about all the suicides that have happened secondary to academic pressures. So that's another issue, and then as you become adolescent, adulthood, and the love affairs, and being jilted or things like that. So all those create problems which would do all of this. Anxiety is a very big thing which is unanswered. It's the white elephant in the room. Depression now people are talking about, but anxiety is equally very important. Anxiety, substance use, nicotine use, alcohol use, and then of course a whole lot of other drugs which are available. So all those are important areas.
Basically that addiction, the moment you start getting addicted, even so very, it's a very good point that a lot of parents, they sometimes don't want to accept that the child has a problem. And when it comes to seeing a psychiatrist, and for a child, that has been since years that, this was previously, in India, where probably our lifestyle or the digital, the gadgets were lesser. Probably the lifestyle was much different previously. But now, as in how we are progressing into a much more technological world where, we have these gadgets where children are exposed to so many things at a young and early age.
Not only a lot of gadgets, more nuclear families.
Yes,
we had extended families, a lot of support.
So the sociological impact.
The maushi or the mother, grandmother, took care of the child. Now there is no care. There is no,
so
no
it's
support.
basically that whole lifestyle, a lot of pattern which was previously there has been changing. Along with that, of course, there are a lot of advantages and positive things, but along with that also comes a little bit of, those negative impact or overindulgence, what we call, children getting more sedentary. There is peer pressure which is going on increasing. There's so much of competition now. So with time, I think we also need to change. Again, it's coming to that same thing that we need to have that lens now that, oh, these are the options which we have. and which we can take benefit of. And I think something which is detected early will not create a problem, because human
Very
life
true.
is supposed to thrive. So when it's young, if right help and right steps are taken, it will go a long
It will
way.
nurture it and let
Yes.
them blossom well. Very true.
So, how important it is for the family and the peer circle who's there, for them to help someone, or what can they do when there's someone who's going through a certain mental well-being problem, or there is all professional and personal help which is given to them. So I think somewhere, even the family which is there all the time with the person, even the friends who are there, how important they are and what can they do.
So first is acceptance. I think we begin with that. First is acceptance. And after acceptance, and I think very often if you notice that your friend is sad, quiet, if you drag him or her to a mental health professional, that will be the best thing you've done for him or her. I mean, the best repayment of friendship. So one is identifying and taking them there. Then supporting them. You know that they'll be cranky, there'll be good days and bad days, supporting them. If we say go exercise, very often I tell them, take a buddy. And so that person will remind you every day.
Yeah.
They'll come and press the bell at 6:30, and then you have to go with them. Because when you're depressed, your motivation is so low.
Yes.
So if you have somebody who's a buddy who's helping you out to go for that exercise which you need, then that helps. So being there for that person and accepting them for what they are, I think, is the most important thing. And stop being so critical. I think in the families it happens very often. Either they get over involved and they get critical. So that kind of ruins the relationship. Keep warm, keep open, be accepting, be flexible, and support them. This too shall pass.
So that's why we say a friend indeed is a friend in need.
Very true.
So in maybe someone who is new in city probably doesn't have a friend, or maybe doesn't have someone to support. Do we have something in India where we have a certain helpline or a center where they can approach?
I think first of all that even if you don't have anybody, there are many centers that are open. If you don't even have the money, all the government and the public hospitals that are there, the municipal corporation, they run psychiatry service 24/7. So you can walk into any of these hospitals at any time, and there's so many of them in Mumbai city. Besides that, suppose you don't want to go, you want to go anonymous. We have so many helplines, and there's one run by the government, and there's so many run by Empower, Samaritans, Neha. There used to be Vandrewala, but there are many others. Help is just a phone call away. So make that call, talk to somebody, either on the phone or your friend, take that step. And if you see somebody else in that thing, I'll tell you, I've seen so many people who said, if my friend had not called me, I would have really committed suicide that day. So you may be the one who's saving lives. Don't hesitate to take that step, because people are worried. Arey, he's sad. If I talk about suicide, he'll actually do it.
Yeah.
That's wrong. Nobody does it because somebody else talks about it. But if you ask that question, they will come and take your help. Extend that hand and help the others.
In fact, during this COVID, another positive thing what we have seen is there has been a lot of even online consultation which is going on.
True.
So I think just as doctor has said that a helpline is just a dial, just dial a number. Even if someone who wants immediate help, nowadays in fact there are so many portals who are providing online consultation.
Portals and even individual therapists, doctors. I mean, everybody is doing online, and so that is to stay. That is the new normal.
Yeah, and the most important thing in this is, out of all this is, you go and take that help. You need to dial that number, or you need to go online and look out for that consultation. So that is more important. Other than this, anything else you want to give a message to people?
Well, as this is on World Mental Health Day, 10th October every year, I think it is to realize that mental wellness is for all, and we should think about ourselves first. Think about our body, our mental health, learn to be resilient, do things that make us happy and fit, and also to look out for those who are around you, who are surrounding you, and take that step to help them. Wishing you all the best.
And thank you, doctor. Thank you so much for giving us your valuable time. and we have got a lot of information and a deeper insight on mental wellness and well-being. And thank you so much once again. And the most important thing, if anybody has a question, if anybody wants to ask something, please write to us, call us, or just put a comment. We will make sure that we will get back to you as soon as possible. The most important thing is that we all have that power. We have voice. Why don't we spread that on this occasion of mental wellness? Why don't we start talking about it? Since we have that power of voice, let's start spreading this awareness so that we can make world a better place to live. Thank you so much. Wishing you a very good mental health. Live healthy, be happy, and keep smiling. Thank you.